Welcome back to the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Wu Ruiguo. We will continue our conversation on U.S.-Taiwan relations and cross-strait relations since May 2008 with a panel of very distinguished and well-represented special guests on our program today. I'm going to start off this segment with a question to Alan regarding the kinds of responses that you've heard within Taiwan over President Barack Obama's visit last November to China. Do you think there were some issues that needed more clarification or more reassurance, or there is some interpretation that, in your view, simply just wrong?
Well, I think there were some interpretations which were wrong, but I think we also are all very aware of the sensitivity.
Okay.
Anytime at a senior level the U.S. and the PRC get together and any references made that either does or could be a reference to Taiwan. So, so that isn't a surprise. I think as a matter of factual statement, we need to note that references to respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity go all the way back to the Shanghai Communique and have been repeated in all of the communiques either directly or indirectly. It's part of the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence which were incorporated back in 1972. The TRA has never been referred to in a joint statement between the U.S. and the PRC, never will be, because the PRC won't accept it. It considers it not a legitimate document. So if it's a joint statement, you don't have it. But I think the President made very clear in his press statement in Beijing, standing next to President Hu Jintao, that the U.S. support for the TRA is very firm. So I don't see a problem with that. I still think that the nervousness that is natural around such an event made it very useful for Chairman Burkhart to come here and provide those very direct reassurances. So I hope that laid to rest the concerns that were raised. There should not have substantively been any. And I think some of the concerns that President Obama didn't mention the TRA in Shanghai, for example, were a bit premature. This was not a pre-cooked answer, and although some of us, probably everybody sitting around this table, is sort of steeped in the language of the relationship, President Obama hasn't spent his life thinking about this as deeply, and so when he was asked about it, he didn't necessarily come up with the entire mantra, if you will. But there's no question about the Obama administration's commitment to the TRA or to other aspects of the U.S.-Taiwan relationship.
And this may not be, again, a fair question, but I think some concern locally here has been that, although President Obama has only been in office roughly about a year, that there hasn't been a sense of the overall U.S. policy towards Asia and towards Taiwan, for our very obvious concern. And given the fact that now you have a very strong and continues to rise, China as an important player on the international and regional stage, do you sense that something like overall policy towards Asia is forthcoming?
Well, I think that his speech in Japan represented an overall Asia policy speech. Oh, I think it was. It didn't cover every single detail about Asia policy, nor would it ever possibly have done that. But I think that was the first really broad speech at that level. Deputy Secretary Steinberg has given some speeches in which he's addressed some of these issues quite directly. Secretary Clinton has addressed a number of these issues quite directly. So I don't think there's an absence. I think it may be a matter of how things are covered. I think one of the issues about how Americans reacted to the Obama trip in November was the American press coverage, which I would say was not fully adequate. People were looking for issues, and so I think the press matters a lot, and that's just the way life is. But I think that they've done a reasonable job at this point. I don't expect an overall Asia policy review, for example, a formal policy review. I would be very surprised.
You don't foresee any changes?
I don't see major changes. Obviously, there are adjustments as time goes by, but no, I don't.
For those of us living in Taiwan, we know how important press coverage is. I'm going to go now to Professor Chao, and how would you then, given what's being explained by Alan, how would you then rate the overall relations between U.S. and Taiwan, especially since President Obama and President Ma Ying-jeou came into office?
Well, we have to understand that before President Int'l took office, the state of relations between Taiwan and the United States wasn't really ideal.
No.
But since that time, since Ma took the office, I think we have been able to restore trust in our relations. This is very, I think this is very important.
Yes.
I think President Ma said the relations between the two countries are the best in 60 years. This is not, he wasn't the one who proposed, initiated the statement first.
No.
And a few months ago when Ambassador Winston Lord was here, I think he said exactly that. This is according to Lord. He said that Taiwan-U.S. relations are at its best in 60 years. I think this is, this is proof that how important and how significant progress has been made between the two sides. However, having said that, I do think there are things that the current Obama administration can do in order to further consolidate relations between our two countries. You see, we are in a very difficult stage now.
Yes.
We have to engage China. This is a must. We have no choice, given the state of power China has garnered. But this is not exactly easy task. This is treacherous sometimes because we have a domestic opposition which is very vociferous and opposing almost everything that we have been doing. And we need this is kind of a parallel relations we need to develop. On the one hand, we need to start relations with mainland China, but on the other hand, we also need to consolidate relations with the United States. So if Obama administration can do something, I haven't seen the U.S. administration done much with regard to its relations with Taiwan. I think this is, it seems to me, they are taken for granted. We have been doing a lot to maintain peace and stability in this part of the world, and I think U.S. is also, should do something on its share to help us there.
Okay, Steve, do you have any response to that? Has U.S. done enough?
My response would be a question.
Which is?
Which is, what are you thinking the U.S. should be doing?
Yeah. Anything in particular, Professor Chao?
Well, a strong statement that would certainly help. For example, on his way to China, in stopping in Tokyo, I think President Obama could make like his predecessor, President Bush, there by including Taiwan there before he reached China. And I think it's also about time for the U.S. administration to grant another package of arms deal. It has been just way too long, and there's a lot of jittery there.
Bi-khim, I see you nodding your head. Do we have an inter-party consensus on this?
Look, we do oppose many things, as he said, that the government does. But I think on the question of arms sales, there's no question that we support Taiwan's acquisition of defense weapons that is within our own defense needs from the United States. We also support closer relations with the United States. I think the key challenge now is how to contain the controversy over the beef parts, the offals. That is, it's worth roughly $2 million, which is a very small volume in our overall trade relationship, and that we should see it in that sense, that it is a trade dispute and it should be defined as such. And by some government officials coming out to threaten the public and saying that it would affect the arms sales, it would affect our other relations, I think it generates unnecessary anxiety within our society, and that we should see a trade dispute as it is, as a trade dispute. And even the best friends would have some disputes. But I think the challenge for our current government is how to manage this dispute so that it is contained as an isolated agricultural product, and that we can move ahead in our other trade relations or in our other, whether it's arms sales or other relations with the United States.
Okay, Alan?
A couple of things to react to what's been said. First of all, I don't disagree about the best relationship in 60 years. An important part of that is the flourishing of Taiwan's democracy. And I think Americans attach a lot of importance to that. So I would note that. I would also note that there are some things which are symbolism and some things which are substance. I have no question in my own mind that there will be an arms sales package, and it'll be fairly soon.
Okay.
And this has been reiterated by a number of senior American officials in the last couple of months. So I really don't think there's an issue there. There's some other issues people have raised which are more symbolic, which I would not necessarily think are the way to go. On the $2 million worth of offal, I agree that it's gotten blown up, but I think one has to ask, how did that happen? And it partly happened as a matter of a domestic political controversy in Taiwan, and I think that needs to be examined, because one can say, well, the government didn't handle it right, one can say the opposition didn't handle it right, but the fact is that the result of all of this was that it became, I think it went way out of proportion to the specific issue. One final thing on the statement on the way to Beijing. To be honest, I don't remember what George Bush said on the way to Beijing, but I would not think that as you're about to go and try and get support from the PRC on a number of issues, even though you know that while you're there, you're going to say things which are not going to please the PRC about your relationship with Taiwan, as well as about Tibet and Xinjiang, that you necessarily want to poke your finger in their eye. I think that would be a very bad idea, frankly.
Yes. Well, it's certainly been very exciting for me sitting here watching our special guests interacting and dialoguing with each other. We're going to take another short break on Taiwan Outlook, where we'll come back and continue this very exciting conversation. I'll see you in 3 minutes.